PC cases haven't really changed too much over the years. Sure, we end up seeing the aesthetics change ever so slightly and maybe a few small features added into the mix, but it's still a rectangular box which houses the rest of your components. What I'm trying to get at is that over the years, I've not exactly been massively impressed. That was until the Fractal Torrent arrived last year. It kind of took all of the typical design cues and literally threw them out the window. It moved the PSU back to the top. It traded out multiple small fans in favour of larger 180mm fans. I mean, when I first saw it, while I fell in love with it, I had to ask, had we kind of gone back in time?
What year is it?
With that aside, one big thing was an issue for a lot of users. The case itself was freaking huge. So it's a good thing that the Compact and the Nano are now here, right? Let's do this.
Andy, what are you watching?
It's not what you think.
Wow, it's so big.
Why, thank you. It's the new AOC AG493 UCX, 49 inches of pure performance and a refresh rate of 120 Hz. It's so fast. You can even do 2 at a time.
What?
You can connect 2 devices at a time and split the screen. With FreeSync Premium Pro, a 32:9 aspect ratio and a built-in KVM, you'll be finished in no time. Gaming, I mean. What did you think I mean? Get your mind out the gutter and click the link in the description to find out more. Going all the way back to August of last year, the Fractal Torrent came on the scene, and I was quick to say that it should be defined as the best case of the year, and I made it very clear that it was my new favourite case. It just kinda shook things up a little bit from the average PC case, and in all honesty, it was nice to see something different from the huge array of Lian Li 011 dynamic builds out there that, frankly, in my opinion, all look pretty much the same. Now, to be completely honest, and kind of looking back on it now, it wasn't perfect in the truest sense of the word. Firstly, it had an issue with a fan controller that was luckily spotted very, very early on. Sales were immediately halted, the issue was rectified and sorted in lightning fast time. For any other brands out there who are actually maybe looking at how to handle bad press, do me a favour, get a pen and pencil, take notes from Fractal. That's the way to do it. Now, the other main issue was, frankly, a big one. Some would argue huge in fact, but only in the visual sense. The case was big, like really big. Maybe even more than what any average user would actually need. Personally, I loved it, but as far as mid-tower cases go, it was just a bit too much, and that's where a lot of media, myself included, pleaded that a smaller form factor version would actually be welcomed with open arms, and again, Fractal listened. They listened hard. So hard, in fact, that they came up with 2 models, the Compact and the Nano. And while each model comes in various different SKUs, including black, white, with RGB fans or without, the general design is the same, just as you'd expect, smaller. So let's break it down, because while there are, I guess, some similarities, there are some key differences too between all of the models as well. So the Compact is probably the closest one in terms of specs and design as its bigger brother. It still has support for the largest SSI, CEB and eTeknix motherboards. It still has 2 stupidly large 180mm fans in the front and can still house some of the latest components on the market, which I think we've demonstrated kind of pretty well with the D15S Chromax and an average size GPU. Where you may get into some trouble is when it comes to the largest GPUs on the market, which we did try, but were blocked by the fans. Though I think any user trying to put a 3090 Supreme X into their system is likely gonna plump for the kind of full fat version for moments like this. I mean, the clue is in the name. Compact. Now, even though it is compact, you still get 7 expansion slots. You still get lots of room for cable routing and assistance from the strategically placed integrated cable ties. You still get a ton of airflow, and you even get a Nexus 9P Slim fan hub included. And don't worry, this one is the redesigned model, which won't cause you any kind of issues. Flexibility wise, nothing has been lost either, with the ability to swap out the 2 included fans in favour of 2 140mm fans or 3 120mm fans instead, using the included fan adapter. And there's still a load of room at the bottom for either 2 180mm, 2 140mm or 3 120mm fans. I'm starting to forget kind of why the original full-size Torrent is even a thing. The Compact seems like it has it all. Now, of course, there are some differences. Otherwise, what would be the point in having 2 cases that are so similar? So firstly, the Compact is smaller, and that's pretty much where it starts and ends. Because of its size, it does lose space for fans if using a full-size motherboard. The saving grace is that these fans, like the spaces in the bottom, can be used if using a micro eTeknix or smaller motherboard. So I kind of see that as not losing a feature, but having a product that is modular in fashion. Now, one thing that you do lose is the ability to place a 140mm fan or radiator in the rear of the case due to its kind of ever so slightly smaller design, but you can still install a 120mm fan instead. So not all is lost. Now, the main place for a radiator in the Torrent series was always going to be the front and the bottom due to the PSU placement. And the Compact again gets slightly shaved down, kind of only accepting a 360mm in the front, down from 420 on the full size, and 280 in the bottom, again down from 420. I mean, I don't know about you, but 2 360mm rads in a case of this size is still pretty special if you ask me, and has now got me thinking about kind of potential ideas for the future. I mean, the MSI Z690 Godlike we took a look at could fit in quite nicely. Let me know if you want to see that. So where else do things get trimmed down? Well, in areas that shouldn't actually make that much of a difference, in all honesty. We lose a whopping 20mm of PSU spacing. Though with power supplies getting kind of more powerful and concurrently actually smaller, is this really even an issue? Probably not. As I also mentioned, GPU length may cause some issues with the pre-installed fans, but replacing them with smaller 120 or 140mm fans could actually give you some more space overall. Again, modularity. Yes, you lose out on some CPU cooler height, not that I feel it matters, I mean, do you? And some of the cable routing space is gone, but I don't care. You're likely going to be using lesser components in a smaller case, so it's all relative, or at least that's how I perceive it. Couple this with the Nexus daisy chainable fans if using Fractal RGB ones, and cable management is frankly a breeze. The only thing I feel is missing are lower grommets for your HD audio and front panel headers, but it's not exactly a deal breaker. So when the original Torrent launched, I actually thought for the price you got a lot of case. It was better than the competition at the time and gave you lots of room, masses of airflow, and a unique style that had never really been seen before. So with a shaved down version that has kind of the same essence at heart, you'd expect quite a bit cheaper, right? Less material equals less money. And you'd be right. Coming in between $129 for the solid side panel version up to $159.99 for the black RGB version. The white version that we have here comes in kind of middle ground at $139.99 US dollars. Now, for those of you, in the UK, fellow British people, that equates between £114 and £149. And for those over in mainland Europe, you're looking between €136 and €169. So it's about kind of $50, £50, €50 difference with its kind of bigger brother. So what if you want to go even smaller? Well, that is where the Torrent Nano is now available. And this is what I truly wanted and wished for, a mini ITX version of this case. And did Fractal disappoint? No, they did not. This is basically what I imagined, being small enough without hindering or taking away from any of the aspects of the Torrent, while still kind of having room for everything everything that I'd want. Now, one of the biggest issues when making a small form factor case comes down to airflow, or frankly, the lack of it. And I was afraid that Fractal were gonna kind of fall into that same trap as pretty much every other manufacturer who has tried to make a mini ITX case and frankly failed. It's the old ethos of putting too many hot things into a small box leads to excess heat. I'm pretty sure that's an old Chinese proverb or something. I mean, I can see it written on a temple somewhere or something. Either way, Fractal have still managed to incorporate a single 180mm fan in the front to provide you with that kind of sweet, cool air across your system. Also, just like its two bigger brothers, it's available in a choice of colours and SKUs depending on if you want RGB, I mean, who doesn't? Or if you don't want it, or how dark of a tinted window you're after, or if you want it in white. Now, of course, being mini ITX, the features, again, do get shaved down quite dramatically, though some are still very much here to stay. You still get USB Type-C and two USB 3 Type-A ports. You still have the ability with the included brackets to change the front fan to two 120 or two 140mm fans instead. You can still fit a 120mm fan in the rear, and you can still fit two 120s or two 140mm fans in the bottom. There's even room for a 240mm rad in the front and a 280mm rad in the bottom. And unlike the Compact over here, it has grommets down the bottom for easier cable management, which we all know with any ITX build can be an absolute nightmare. Now again, I want to make this clear, certain areas do have to be shaved down. So again, we're talking PSU, GPU and CPU. But even then, I'm still impressed. You're still able to fit in a 200mm long PSU, a 335mm GPU, though only 310 with 120 or 140mm fans in the front, and a 165mm CPU cooler. Now, for transparency, we did have an issue with the Noctua D15S where we had to rotate it from its conventional orientation due to the PSU shroud getting in the way. But in all honesty, who puts one of the largest CPU coolers on the market on an ITX board in a case like this and has two thumbs? This guy. All jokes aside, when we were looking at building this system, we kind of chanced it with an RTX 3090 for the sheer lulz, but found we didn't have to compromise anywhere and just grabbed products from our inventory and it just kind of fit. First time and still with room to spare. Now, if you were going to go down the custom loop route, you'll find not only room for radiators, but space for a res as well, all without obstructing any of your other components. Now, I don't know what it is with these cases, but they're just begging me to custom loop them, but I'm not even sure what for at this point. But I want to do it. Reasons. Again, cable routing is cut down from the original Torrent, but is actually 9mm more than the Compact, making it kind of even easier, which is very much welcomed, especially for an ITX case, especially if you have big hands as well. Now, there is one component that the case doesn't have, and I'm kind of not quite sure how to feel about it, and that is the Nexus 9P Slim that is in this one and its big brother. I mean, I get it, the case doesn't need a 9-port fan hub, but what about a smaller cut down version like a Nexus 6P Slim or something? There is space for it, and some would argue more space than the Compact, and it would just make things that little bit easier. But in all honesty, clutching at straws here, it's not essential. What about pricing? I mean, ITX cases normally come with a little bit of a premium, and it's not unheard of to see actually see them more expensive than their bigger siblings, but that's not the case here. See what I did there? Case. Because we're looking at cases. Now, with the Nano range, it comes in between $109.99 and $129.99 for the RGB version like we have here. That equates to between £97 and £114 in the UK and €116 to €147 in Europe. And I'm gonna say, yeah, colour me impressed. So Fractal brought the Torrent to market in a bold way. It was almost like they tried reinventing the wheel with both their execution and design choice. And frankly, it paid off, receiving awards and high praises from consumers and the media, with the only issue being that we wanted more, where in the case of the Compact and the Nano, we actually wanted less. Now, we all shouted for smaller versions and had already built a kind of a picture in our head of how they'd look, and short of not being a case designer, these are exactly what was in my head. It's a smaller version of an already amazing case, but by going smaller, nothing kind of feels like it's been sacrificed. And overall, the Torrent design has simply been cut down here and tailored in there, but at no cost to the functionality. I said it last year with the Torrent being the best case of 2021, and while I know we're only in February, I'm confident enough to say that the Compact and the Nano might just be the best case of 2022. And speaking of confidence, are you screwing in confidently? If not, then you should pick up the eTeknix PC Maintenance Toolkit, with everything you need to build, repair, and maintain your PC. It even includes tools for water cooling. Grab yours over on store.eteknix.com. And with that, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, you know exactly what to do, and if you want to see some kind of small form factor videos, head over to our eTeknix Shorts channel where we're uploading lots of behind the scenes content. But if you want to see even more of that, head over to our Patreon. All of the links are down in the description below, and I will see you in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye bye.